Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and here I ramble with articulation, I hope, about a variety of musical, audio and visual elements that I pull out of the videos that I watch. And today we are making an overdue return to PattyCake Productions and the Villain's Lair. Hi, this is David from the future. I have just finished recording this episode and I wanted to put in front of it right now a flash and seizure warning. This episode is going to cover two episodes of The Villain's Lair, and episode 7 features a thunderstorm that results in a lot of flashes throughout. So if that is something that could cause you some discomfort, please do watch at your discretion. Thank you, and back to Past David. Now this one's going to be interesting. This is season 1, episode 6, and it's listed as titled The Ruse, and it's listed as a princess crossover episode. Now I haven't seen any of the princess storyline yet. Everything I've seen is here on the channel. So this is going to be quite interesting for me, because I'm assuming I'm going to meet at least one and possibly several characters that I haven't seen so far. When we last left the series, we actually saw a bunch of the sidekicks, like Smee, Horace and Jasper, Iago, Kronk, singing about teamwork. Today, we're back with the villains, I believe, or at least I assume. Princess crossover episode kind of implies... I don't know what I'm expecting, actually. But, okay, redo. When we last left the villains... they were plotting to steal the sundial that would help them to control time from the Princess Academy. I assume, since this is a Princess crossover episode, that that's going to, or at least the scheme is going to begin happening during this episode. I don't truly know. All I know is this series is hilarious, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Yeah, I don't have much more to say than that. If you haven't seen my previous... firstly, if you haven't seen this series, please watch it. Link in the description below. And if you haven't seen my previous reactions and analyses to this, I will put a card right here. And you can go and check those out. Sorry, I have something in my eye at the most inopportune moment. You can check my other responses out there to these videos. They have been wonderful so far, and I expect nothing less as we continue. I think that's about everything I have to say, because I don't really know what I'm getting into, so I will simply say welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way I work is I'm going to watch this through from beginning to end, with commenting and emoting over the top of it, and I will then go back and watch it a second time, this time pausing, interrupting, and offering what commentary and analysis I feel I can. If you are here just for the reaction, the first quarter or so of this video should be good for you. If you would like to, please do hit that like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell. They are all great. And if you would care to support the channel, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts for a donation, one-off donation of any amount, to patreon.com/DavidKReacts, where I have 2 low-level tiers. They're just to support me on an ongoing basis if you would like to, though they do give you access to my Discord channel as well. Or you can head to, or just leave a super thanks here on YouTube. Any of those would be very, very gratefully received, but no pressure, of course. I would like to say thank you to Nancy Martinez, who just joined my Patreon community. Thank you, Nancy. I really appreciate the support. And as always, a list of my patrons will be at the end of the video. I think that's everything I have to say, so without any further delay, let us find out what Layne and Tony have cooked up for us this time as we go into The Villain's Lair, Episode 6, The Ruse.
Previously on The Villain's Lair.
We get a previously on.
I discovered a way to control time itself. A power so strong, it can alter the events of the past, the present, and the future. What is it? Any of y'all ever heard of the sundial of Cronus?
The fabled sundial of the ancient god of time.
The sundial gives the owner power to control time itself.
If what you say is true, where is it?
The Princess Academy.
You mean our adversaries have this power? How?
Hades wielded his power for a time, but when he was defeated, it was thought to be lost. But there was one person who knew of his location. Megara. Zeus entrusted the sundial to man and ordered it sent to the Princess Academy to be kept safe.
Retrieving such
do
an
we get
item
Meg in
from
this
a
episode?
palace guarded by magic will require skill, cunning, and expertise. All qualifications I readily possess.
Get that sundial, and we can control time with ease.
I'll do it. I'm something of an expert in disguises. I'll get into that school and befriend this Meg.
And then what? Ask nicely.
Oh no, she's going to give it to me. And I've always said if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Okay. That's a new one, the previously on. I like it.
We don't know how to put this without sounding mean, but we need to talk about Princess Merida's cleanliness, or lack thereof.
I know what you mean. But remember, not all princesses are alike. And here at the Academy, we celebrate princesses of all kinds.
I agree, but your room isn't next to hers, and there are all sorts of smells and noises coming from in there. Some nights I wish I could find a spinning wheel just so I could sleep. Oh dear.
That is bad.
Nice.
I have an idea. Oh, I think I know how we can... Oh my goodness.
Your Majesties, I've been sent here from Mount Olympus by Zeus himself.
That sounds awfully important.
Indeed. Forgive me, but who are you?
I am Themis, daughter of Uranus and Gaia. I am order, law, and fairness. Some even
Really?
say I am the fairest of them all.
What a coincidence. People say that about me, too.
Won't you sit down?
My daughters, the fates have warned me that you and this entire world are in great danger.
Danger? Should I call for Philip? He's quite good with a sword, you know.
Swords will do you no good, I'm afraid. Only I and the gods of Olympus can avert this danger.
Well, we'll certainly do anything we can to help.
Splendid. There is an ancient artifact housed in this academy. The fates have seen that a great evil wishes to claim it and use its powers to destroy you all. I have been sent by Zeus to collect it. There on Mount Olympus it can be safely guarded. Here at the academy it is too exposed.
What is this artifact?
I dare not say here. Evil has eyes everywhere. The fewer who know, the less in danger you are. I must speak with your professor of ancient history.
Meg?
Yes.
Just because this is running for a short moment, I do really enjoy the vocal effect that they have given to Themis. It's not an echo, it's actually a sort of presaging of what she's about to say. If you listen carefully, I'm sure if you've seen this, you've noticed it, but it's actually particularly the vowel sound of the word she's about to say is what's in that sound. I'm stopping here because I'm not sure if this is going to be another episode like The Plan where there isn't a song, but I'm not going to go back over too much of this because this scene's running fairly long and that's not really what I'm here to analyze. I think I can talk about, well, we'll see, but I suspect I'll be able to talk about a lot of the elements I'd be talking about now later on. But I do really, really like that vocal effect.
I must speak with your professor of ancient history.
Meg?
Yes. She has been entrusted with it and has kept it safe in the Museum of Ancient History.
Quickly, we must summon Meg. Snow, would you?
Of course. Oh, don't be silly. She's here to help.
Haha! The birds know.
Oh, she'll just be a minute.
Now go and tell Meg to come here right away.
I love her impatience with Snow White, that's great.
She'll be on her way shortly. Would you care for anything while we wait? Would you like us to see?
No! Thank you, my child.
Would you like anything to eat? Some gooseberry pie?
I've always had a fondness for...
All right. Which one of you royal heinies sent me the tweet?
Ah!
Thanks.
Simple but effective
Well,
gag.
It's an honor to meet you, Themis.
Thank you, child. Now we must discuss the danger at hand. Is it safe to speak here?
Sure. Trust me, the least popular place at something called the Princess Academy is the Museum of Ancient History. Now, if it were the Museum of Ball Gowns and Sparkly Things, you may need a reservation 3 months in advance. You're like the second person to come here this week.
What about magical interlopers?
Oh yeah, the fairies have this entire place enchanted out. You'd have to be a pretty crafty witch to get in here. This is where we keep all the good stuff.
Okay, I'm getting the impression this is going to be a plot episode, so I am going to stop it a couple of times, and we'll watch the next one as well. I love the gag of we can't speak. The way she's behaving with the different people. We can't speak that evil has eyes anywhere in a fairly tight room with one single door. But in a hallway? Yeah, sure, we'll talk about this. It's very entertaining the way that she's using her character. And I also love the subtlety of her being like, oh, you think you can keep you've got a crafty witch on your hands. I can get through all of this. That's a nice touch. I do also want to mention, I love the variety of sets that we're getting here. I don't know which of these two series came first, but the Villain's Lair, so far, we've only seen in a single room. And, there's a fair amount of set dressing to dress a room the way that they have done. But the fact that we're getting multiple sets here as well is quite impressive. They obviously, this has a slight expansion on it in terms of space compared to the Villain's Lair, which may just be a question of it makes more sense for the story that that's the case. And, there's no slight on either production. I'm just impressed at what we're getting here. It's more than I'm used to. Pardon, my internet's a little slow today. I don't know why it's taking so long to load.
Pretty crafty witch to get in here. This is where we keep all the good stuff. Remember, you break it, you bought it. So, what exactly are you looking for?
The secrecy of this mission is paramount. The gods work in mysterious ways, you know.
Tell me about it. I know firsthand.
Ah, yes. Hades.
You know the story.
I've seen it. I see all. And when Hades was lost in the river Styx, the mighty Zeus entrusted you with all manner of Hades' possessions. One of them being the very thing I'm here for.
Yeah, who knew Hades was such a hoarder? It'd be a lot easier if you just tell me what you're looking for. Come on, you can trust me. I'm jacked up with Zeus' son for Hera's sake.
Perhaps you're right. I'm looking for an artifact that contains the essence of my mad titan brother, Kronos.
Wait a minute. Do you mean the sundial?
Yes, the sundial of Kronos. It must be protected.
For he, or she, who claims it controls the sundial can command all of time itself.
The prophecy.
Good artifact to have.
Yeah, heard all about it the other day when some fish girl from Atlantica came for it. She's said to be safe from harm below the ocean with Triton.
Interesting. So this is, I'm assuming, alluding to plot things that we would see if we had seen the Princess series. That would be my guess. So this may get revisited at a later point when I come onto the other series. I'm just tackling one at once for now.
From Atlantica came for it. She's said to be safe from harm below the ocean with Triton.
Atlantica? King, what are you saying?
It's what I've been trying to tell you.
The sundial.
It's not there.
Where is it?
The envoy from Atlantica was here yesterday and took it for safekeeping. Guess they didn't see that coming. Was it something I said?
Okay, so yeah, full-on plot episode. I like that they do this. I enjoy the fact that they don't just go full tilt. Like, this really feels like a legit performance, like a show, like a run-through show. They're not just, oh, it's a new episode, we have to have a song. They will have episodes of plot. They catch me off guard because I don't know they're coming. So we will, in fact, go ahead and watch episode 7 of this as well. So that I have a piece of music to cover too. But I really, really enjoyed this. I think they've done some great work. I love the costuming that's going on in this. Obviously, I've talked about the villains' costumes and things like that previously. Really, really impressed with the work they do here. Obviously, I'm being introduced to a bunch of new performers playing the princesses. I really, really like that. I think I'm just going to jump back and look at a couple of things, because I assume we're going to leave this environ, although I might be wrong. But I love how we've gone from everything dark and muted and sort of reds and things like that. Now we have this much brighter environment, which makes total sense for the princesses, of course. We have flowers. We have, more ornate decorations that look a little bit more we have this sort of gilded appearance. They don't have the kind of gothic look that we have in the Villain's Lair. Interesting that we go for the sort of imperial purple and yellow. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a good color combination for this. Really, really like this setting. I think the costuming is truly fantastic on these characters. Like it's just fantastic work. They look great. They sound great. I love the little sort of personifications that they have of their individual characters. I really, really like Themis's costume. I think this is particularly cool to me. I always like seeing sort of how do you represent deity or demi-deity. I don't know Themis's place in the pantheon, but I really enjoy seeing how that sort of character gets personified, and this kind of the milky eyes and this very jewel-encrusted robe. Fantastic. This is all round great. I love that we have a chess rook in the background of this, or on the edge of the desk there. Slight perspective. Oh yeah, you can see it reflected. Had a slight perspective trick of the eye there. Just simple little things. It's very neat, very tidy. And then not only do we have the outdoor shots, I'm assuming there's a bit of compositing here gone to get this bird out onto the branch, but lovely that we get that sort of a slightly different perspective on all of this. Little bit of technology, I think, being reflected in the window up here, but that's fine. And then we have we have this beautiful stairwell and hallway. Again, more flowers, this very light coloured sort of stonework or marbling. And then another whole room where you have all of these artifacts laid out, the sort of key items from each film. Really, really impressive work. I love what they've done with this. I'm going to keep ploughing on so that we can move into the next song. But I really enjoy that there is an immediate block been added. I think it's a really smart decision. As like, hey, we've got our plan. But literally yesterday the plan got undone for us. It's kind of very typical villain fare, and I enjoy that they're being made to work for this a little bit. This is really, really good storytelling. I'm enjoying it. So we're going to move on to All I Ever Wanted, which is episode 7. And I'm going to cut here so I can skip past the adverts, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, and we're back. And interestingly, the first, as always, I just let the adverts play through and immediately pause the video. And we don't have a splash screen. We have Layne and Tony. So I'm assuming we get a message from them in advance. So we'll see what they have to say. Oops.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for being here. We are coming to the end of season 1 of The Villain's Lair, and we have had so much fun making these episodes.
And we've had a blast trying out different musical styles for each episode.
And getting to showcase our amazing actors in these roles.
There are so many villains to choose from, and we both have our favorites.
Mine's for sure the Evil Queen.
Mine's Dr. Facilier.
Yeah, he might be my other favorite.
You can't have two favorites.
Fair, Evil Queen. But one of the more challenging aspects of the series is adding characters that feel like they have a reason to be part of the story.
And in this episode, we finally get the chance to add Scar!
Whoa! Okay, I didn't see that coming.
Dying
to
add him, and we feel like we have found the perfect episode for him.
But before we start the episode, let's talk about today's sponsor.
Oh, right, they have sponsors. Let's see what they did. Something really smart with what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. The Halloween episode that they did temporarily escaped my brain. I'll put a link up here. But they did an amazing sponsorship for that. So we'll see what's this is not me going, hey, I'm sponsored or endorsing this sponsorship in any way. I'm just curious to see what they do with it. If it's just a bog standard sponsorship, I will skip to the episode. Okay, I've cut back to here because it was a fairly standard sponsorship. They didn't do something sort of themed to the show in any way, shape, or form. So, if you would like to support them by supporting their sponsor, head over to the video. It's linked in the description as well as the previous video. Head over there and you can see who they were sponsored by. I'm not going to put sponsored content onto my channel, without them sponsoring me. I don't know, that's something I haven't looked into ever, but it just seems to make sense. So yeah, on with All I Ever Wanted.
I have waited and watched from the sides while others were given their dues. Overlooked and forgotten, my words cast aside. I did what I needed to do.
I love these lyrics.
I learned that the world can be cruel, a game to which there are no rules. Thieves are forgiven and justice is blind, but this time the justice is mine.
Your sense of justice is a little...
It tells us all who we are. It robs us of glory and leaves us with nothing but scars.
Ooh, I love how they visualized him.
Was a life that was rightfully mine, to never place second in line, a time to thrive, not just survive.
All I ever needed was a moment to even the odds.
With power to revel the gods, the stars align to my design. It's all I ever wanted.
All of my life I have tried to be heard, but men only hear what they fear. Fate wasn't given, it's something I took. Now they have fear of the hook.
Fair.
Standard to which I was held, a fairness to which I was sworn.
Oh, I love the lighting in this episode.
The hard way I learned, every rose has its thorn.
Cast to the outside, watching as others delight.
A thirst on the inside, for darkness to conquer the light.
All I
Ever wanted was my time living life in the sun. When those fools all regret what they've done to me, they'll see that I'm not through.
I love how introspective this is.
All I ever needed was a moment to conquer my fate. To never be second to great. A world that's prime and mine to take. It's all I ever wanted. Days turn to hours and hours to years. Hope becomes twisted and rooted in fear.
balance and order are cast to the side.
Vengeance for justice that I've been denied.
Lyrics are so smart and so character driven. Nice key change.
Why settle for less when there's more to conquer? Overcame before.
All I ever needed
Was a slip in the balance of time to regain what's rightfully mine. To change the end in stone.
It's all I ever wanted.
Oh.
Hi again. We just wanted to say an extra special thank you to our patrons for their generosity and support.
Absolutely
we couldn't
fair.
do series like The Villain's Lair without you. So as our way of saying thank you, we are giving away 50 limited edition Villain's Lair pins.
And they glow in the dark. The pins
Oh,
are free
that's
for
cool.
anyone that signs up on Patreon or upgrades.
Where you can watch episode 8, the season finale of The Villain's Lair, right now. Thanks so much for sticking with us. If you're new here, think about subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.
Love it. That's such a good song. Also, damn it, I want one of those pins. Couple of years too late, methinks. That is awesome. I really like the idea of having a slightly more introspective villain. We've had that prior, but this gives that sense of they're just waiting around. You know, the plan is in motion, but only. And I feel like this is one of those things where, yes, the villains often sort of sit back and play general and let somebody else go off and do the dirty work. But I also love the idea that in a ring of villains, they're all going to get really ticked waiting while the one of them is off doing their thing. So it makes sense that this is a point where we have a much more introspective look at what's going on with them while they're just sort of sitting there drumming their fingers on the table waiting for the evil queen to finish playing Themis and come back. That's great. That's also a really enjoyable song. I like that. Wow, that was 6 minutes. Oh, I guess we had the intro. I was going to say it, but it didn't feel that long. Let's go back. I really, really like this. I think they're doing so well with this series. Every episode that we watch, it doesn't necessarily move the story forward, but it gives, if we're not moving the story forward, we're getting an understanding of the characters as they see them. And of course, we never see the the character's viewpoint, or we do, but we never get it from this kind of perspective where we're lingering with them for any length of time. We get it for those moments where they try and defend themselves in the film, or they reveal that actually they really are the worst human being in the world. Frollo, that sort of thing. And I really like that we're actually kind of just lingering with them for a while and learning a little bit more about them while other things are going on. It's really, really cool. Also, really like what they did with Scar. I noticed 208 monkeys listed there as being the CG effects for Scar. I really like what they did with him. I think that's really quite impressive, and they're right. This is a great song for him to be a part of. I think that makes a huge amount of sense. I'm just going to pause for a split second. Let's just have a look at our comments. Let's see what we have here. As the evil queen in disguise attempts to steal the sundial from the Princess Academy, the villains find themselves restless as a storm rages. Jafar, Frollo, Scar, Hook, and Maleficent all reflect on their hardships as their moment of triumph approaches. That makes complete sense. Scar animation, 208 monkeys. The song by them, of course. Story consultant James Keaton. Interesting. I wonder what that conversation entailed. That would be interesting. And we've already commented on, I think, all of the other folks that are in here. Very, very impressed with what they are doing. And yet again, another fantastic song. I really, really like what they're doing here. So, I'm repeating myself a bunch. I'm a little tired today, so sorry if I'm slightly not quite with it. I am actually going to... I should put a flash warning at the beginning of this episode, because that thunder is quite ubiquitous throughout this particular one. I can't just sort of cut out an individual scene. So, that's obviously something I know now, so I will record that at the end. I'm just going to make a note for myself to do that. And then on we will go. So, flash warning. All right, let's bring that back up, watch it through again, and oops, I'll have to cover that. If you're new here, by the way, I cover, anytime I have the screen not full screen, I cover it just because my work is behind NDAs and I have a tendency to accidentally leave tabs open. I'm a video game designer in my day job, in case you didn't know that. And obviously the project that we're working on right now is still fairly under wraps in terms of the work. Anyway, let's go back and watch this one more time and see All I Ever Wanted. It's a great logic for a song. All I Ever Wanted was XYZ. It's a perfect thing for a villain because it gives them the opportunity to say, no, this is all it was about. Great stuff. There we go. I love that we're straight in. We have this lovely scene setting of this image of the castle, but the music comes in before we've even seen anybody. I think there's, we've just had a whole plot exposition episode. Let's just get down to it. Makes total sense to me. I like that. It's also a very simple beginning. This bum 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 bum. I like the rhythm that they've got there. That sort of the slight having the third note not on the beat but off beat gives it that little syncopated thing that kind of picks up the pace a little, and this little going on in the background. I'm assuming that's the side of a drum kit. Side of a snare drum, rather. What am I talking about? Like a hit on the side, the actual metal part of the drum itself, something like that. But it gives us this sense of time passing, which is really all that's happening in this video, right? Time is passing while they wait for the evil queen. So very, very effective use of instrumentation there to create the environment that we're actually going into. Also, I apologize. I feel like this video, there's going to be a few cuts. I'll have probably put a note up about this earlier, but there's going to be a few cuts because it's just taking a hot second for my internet to start playing the video. I'm not sure why it's running so slowly today, but...
I have waited and watched from the sides while others were given their dues. Overlooked and forgotten, my words cast aside. I did what I needed to do.
I'm going to stop it right there. I talked about lighting, and I'm going to talk about lighting a lot in this episode because it's really, really good. First things first, I love Jafar's line here. I think this is great. Overlooked and forgotten, my words cast aside, because he was all about words. He was all about winning people over and that sort of thing. I love that all the lines in this are so characterful. Hook talking about fear, like it's very kind of and Frollo's lines about justice, of course, his very warped sense of justice. It's fantastic because it's giving us, we know these characters, we recognize them, and while we're learning about this iteration of them, they are still so grounded in their own stories, and I think that's really, really good. Lighting wise, this is phenomenal. I love what they're doing with the storm, and we're getting a little light here that probably wouldn't happen quite the way that it's happening. It's stage lighting, where we're lighting elements of the set from the inside, where, of course, the storm is all happening outside. So rather than just these generic room flashes, we're also... I don't know if I can freeze. Oh, what's wrong with my headphones? I don't know if I can freeze on one of them. So right here, I cut because it took me a little minute to find this shot. But right here, we can see where elements inside are being lit. And I guess it could be that there's lightning all around the tower that they're in, and so this is coming from a different window and reflecting that way. But regardless of the reasoning behind why it's happening, it's extremely effective because lighting these elements kind of gives us this stark lighting contrast. It's not just going through the window. It's happening in the room with them as well, and it kind of gives us the impression that they are within the storm. And that's a really, really cool thing to have, especially when it's just them kind of, they see triumph coming, so naturally the world is in a dark place right now if the villains are potentially about to win. I don't know if they're going to or not, based upon where this story goes in the next episode, which is the season finale. Maybe we'll get a big cliffhanger where they finally get the sundial, or, maybe it's the end of a story and they didn't know whether they were going to get a season 2. I don't know. But we get this sense of anticipation the entire way through this, but it's not a calm anticipation. It's not patience. It really is drumming your fingers on the table. They're getting more and more irritable because they can taste it. It's like that thing where you've got something you've been really looking forward to, or you've been looking forward to getting away from something, like you're leaving a job or something like that, and in 4 weeks' time you're out, and then in 2 weeks' time you're out, and the closer it gets, the more irritable you get, because you're so close to either the good thing or, the improvement, whatever it happens to be. That's the vein I'm getting from this video, and I really, really like that they're using lighting to kind of keep us in that whirling maelstrom that's presumably happening outside the tower. Unless this tower doesn't have a roof, but I think it does. So that's my thoughts on it anyway.
Looked and forgotten, my words cast aside. I did what I needed to do. As a child, I learned that the world can be cruel.
I also love that each time we switch, or almost every time, not every time, but, here in these introductions, it happens with Maleficent as well. When we switch to characters, we change pitch slightly so that they can sing in their sort of comfort pitch. It's a really, really nice touch. They get the same harmony, but they're singing in their own registers. Of course, Rollo is singing looking at a fire. I mean, why wouldn't he be? That's just the very Frollo thing to do. So here, where Jafar's lighting was very, very blue, there's still plenty of blue in this. So we get the sense that Frollo is in the same room, or at least in close proximity to where Jafar is right now. And obviously with the storm going on, we know he's in that. But I love that there is so much more warm lighting in this. There is fire orange everywhere in Frollo's scene. We have the actual fire itself. We have the sort of shock of red fabric for the curtain, the light that's just behind him as well. There's nothing warm about it when he's here. It's a malevolent light. It's an orange that speaks of the violence and the devastation that he is potentially capable of causing. I think that's a really, really smart lighting choice here. And I also love that where Jafar is much more animated and, kind of open in his gestures, there's a lot more of a pensive approach to Frollo here. He's a lot more still and a lot more reserved. It's like the violence is in his voice, not in his action, which is a really, really nice choice.
To do. As a child, I learned that the world can be cruel, a game to which there are no rules. Thieves are forgiven and justice is blind, but this time the justice is mine.
Another nice touch is his chin is always very slightly tilted. There's this consistent air of superiority just leaching into the room from around him. And now we get this beautiful shot here where we see the fireplace. Again, more orange with the candles and another lantern. You can see that red fabric still, but now in front of, there's a skull and there's this plate with the crossed swords on it. And like this, to me, looking at this, it almost feels like Frollo's version of the Scales of Justice. Like his version of the Scales of Justice isn't a set of scales, it's a sword in each hand. Like that's the vibe that I'm getting from this shot, and I really, really like that. That's how they've chosen to represent what he's looking at. He's looking at death, at violence, at fire. It's very Frollo. Also, the gargoyle behind him, very appropriate.
This is blind, but this time the justice is mine.
The past is a story. It tells us all who we are.
This is so good. I really like what they did with Scar. He is, like, if you think about how he's animated in the movie, he is quite controlled. You know, he has that thing where he just sits there and loudly kind of picks a tooth with a nail, or he'll suddenly violently kind of get down into a crouch, but then the crouch itself is very still. So I think they actually get away really nicely with having a slightly less animated character. I love that we're getting these sort of throaty roars in the background of his voice. Very, very effective. And I also like that they have cast Scar in shadow. We have the blue light. We have that kind of teal color of the stormy sky outside. We even have a few candles, but not a lot of it is reaching him. Now that, you know, there may be a part to which that was also you can disguise some work in CGI by shading it a little bit. So it potentially gave the CGI artists a little bit of an easier time, but it's also just extremely effective for the character. So whether or not that was a technical choice, I think it's a really good character choice.
It tells us all who we are. It robs us of glory and leaves us with nothing but scars.
Great direction there. I'm just going to go back because I only want to go back. I love that as he says, leaves us with nothing but scars. He whips around and what do we see? We see the scar in his eye. Really, really great direction. It's a natural thing because he spits the word out. He's angry at the word and at what he's been left with. I think they've done a great job of just the subtle animation of the tongue. It's fairly basic animation, but it's given a little bit of character to his singing. And I think they've done a really good job of this. And this shot here, it's great because everything is out of focus except him. So you get this really nice look at the texture work that they've done on the mesh that they've got here, the physical representation of Scar, this texturing of the fur, the whiskers. This is I really, really like what they've done. I think it's a great way of including Scar in this thing. And I've no idea what the budgeting was like on this, but it certainly wouldn't be like a Marvel movie budget kind of thing. I think they've got a really, really good CG Scar here. This is great stuff.
Robs us of glory and leaves us with nothing but scars. All I ever wanted was a life that was rightfully mine. To never place second in line, a time to thrive, not just survive. All I ever needed was a moment to even the odds.
I also really, really like that lyric. The shift of all I ever wanted, all I ever needed was a moment. All I ever needed was a moment. It's that villain thing, isn't it? If I'd had 30 seconds, maybe things would have worked out differently, because it's always by the skin of their teeth that they lose. Really, really smart. I love the little touches we have here with the decoration. We've talked before about the fact they have the spinning wheel in here. I just think that the use of lighting and shadow in this, we've still got, like, Jafar is almost not quite as poorly lit as Scar, but kind of in that ilk. But we are getting, like, as we get these flashes, the shadows that are kind of flashing around are really being enhanced. Like, it's a great contrast of light and dark here. And while the characters are all in darkness of their own type, I really, really like that the shadows are being enhanced by the brightness of the storm that's happening outside, and that's it could be the sort of brightness of them seeing their victory coming. if things carry on to go as they are. And then one small thing, and it just caught my eye. I love that, you have the jewel in the middle of Jafar's headpiece that he's got here with the feather coming out of it. But I also love that we have 2 bottles just glinting down here. It was a small thing, but because there's so little colour in this shot outside of the blues and the small amounts of orange, it caught my eye that we have this sort of purpley red going on down there. And it's a small thing, but it's just tiny, tiny touches of points of interest scattered around scenes, and I really like them. Also noticed how we've gone from this very wide shot of Jafar, where he is in the center of the shot and taking up, a fifth of the screen, to this very tight close-up of Frollo, a much more introspective character, as we were saying beforehand. I really like how they're using space in this.
They needed was a moment to even the odds. With power to revel the gods, the stars align to my design. It's all I ever wanted.
All of my life I have tried to be heard, but men only hear what they fear. I have tried.
That's such a good line. All of my life I've tried to be heard, but men only hear what they fear. So what does Hook do? He becomes something that scares people, because that way he'll be heard. That's a really smart lyric. I like that a lot. Also, again, great scenery, lots of treasure scattered around. You have, of course, the portrait behind him of himself. And I love that the way that he's lit here, it's not as narrow as this, but you get the vein of nautical lighting. Like this is coming in through a ship window. It's just kind of the vibe that it's giving me. I know that, it's a tower window. It's kind of not dissimilar in some ways. But I love that we have this blue, but it's got a little bit more brightness and a little bit more green in it than the blue did that's on Jafar. It's not that dark, shaded blue colour that we're sort of seeing almost maybe a little bit more around the fireplace in the corner on the floor. That's kind of more the tone it was. Here on Hook, it's just a little brighter, a little bit more sea-flavoured. And I think that's a really nice choice. Yeah, this is, again, fantastic production work on this show the whole way through.
Wanted. All of my life I have tried to be heard, but men only hear what they fear. Fate wasn't given, it's something I took. Now they have fear of the hook.
There was always a standard to which I was held.
Now we see Maleficent sitting next to the spinning wheel. We have this blue, but this time it's almost purpley. It's gone Maleficent coloured. And it feels more like lighting here. Like with Jafar, it was kind of effect. With Scar, it was almost creating shadow by more of its absence on him. Here, it's almost like this is the colour that is lighting Maleficent. Again, fantastic use. I love the drapes. There's something very regal about her on the throne. I think this is absolutely, if you showed me all of these and then said, how do we set Maleficent into this? What do we want her to look like? How do we want to present her? This is kind of what I think I'd say. On a throne, surrounded by apparent richness, but not like the way the sort of the treasure that Hook had. In her case, it's more elegance and the sort of looking good rather than having money. I think that's sort of the difference that I would see. And again, in this case, interesting that the teal is directly behind her, and it's an interesting contrast that really outlines the shape of the throne, but also of the horns on her headpiece whenever she moves them so that they're in front of it. It's the backlighting there really kind of catches her silhouette well. Again, I'm just going to keep saying it. Brilliant work.
Fear of the hook.
There was always a standard to which I was held, a fairness to which I was sworn. But life took a turn in the hard way I learned. Every rose has its thorn.
Lovely lighting here too. Like there's still plenty of shadow, but we can see all the detail. Like the way they've mixed the lighting between close-ups and wide shots. They've done a really, really great job because it still feels the same, but we get enough clarity in whatever it is that we're looking at. Really, really impressed with both the lighting and actually the camera work in this is really nice too. Just this subtle move around her, things like that. Really, really great work. Of course, you know, every rose has its thorn, very suitable lyric for these sorts of things. I like the fact that we're getting reference here. You know, it could be the Beauty and the Beast rose, so we're even referencing outside of the films if you choose to look at it that way. Yeah, great. Just these lyrics are so good.
To which I was so warm, but life took a turn in the hard way I learned.
Oh, I love in that shot too. I'm not going to go back and try and stop it. But as you get the flashes of the lightning, you can actually see the pink of the inside of her robe as well. So there's a little colour there, but we're only getting it when the storm is firing off. When it's not, we're getting this kind of dull, the blue of the lighting. Really, really nice.
Every rose has its thorn.
Cast to the outside, watching as others delight. A thirst on the
That's a nice change too. I love that you know, it's slight continuity iffy, but I really, really like that as Frollo turns away from the fireplace, we get him in the cold blue.
Others delight.
But here we get this vibrant orange once more. It's not perfect continuity, but I think it is actually excellent from a perspective of showing the sort of villainous side of Frollo. When he's not looking at the fire, he's cold and dark, and the only time that he is bright and lit is when there is fire involved. That makes a lot of sense to me.
A thirst on the inside for darkness to conquer the light.
All I ever wanted was my time living life in the sun. When those
Again, all I wanted was to be in the sun. And where is he? He's in shadow. Great work. Great work.
It was my time living life in the sun.
And as he says that, he turns to be better lit. This is just, really smart.
When those fools all regret what they've done to me, they'll see that I'm not through.
All I ever needed was a moment to conquer my fate. To never be second to great. A world that's prime and mine to take. It's all I ever wanted.
Days turn to hours and hours to years. Hope becomes twisted and rooted in fear.
And I love that now, when we're 2/3 of the way through the song, we're getting some of these twisted. You know, you get the second to great and throwing things around, and we're getting a little bit more energy because they're getting more frustrated as time passes. You know, we assume there's a little bit of time passed here, even if it's just the duration of the song. That introspection is catching up with them and they're getting angry. I love that little sort of just the general journey that their characters are going throughout this song. Really, really good performances here. I really like this. And I love this look. We have her looking at the camera as she sings The Days Turn to Hours and Hours to Years. And again, it's the passage of time. Not only is time passing as they're waiting, but they're thinking about the passage of time too. Really, really nice.
It's all I ever wanted.
Days turn to hours and hours to years. Hope becomes twisted and rooted in fear.
Balance and order are cast to the side. Vengeance for justice that I've been denied.
Love the instrumentation. We've got that organ holding chords through just in the background there, and the simple thing of as I've been denied, and as we go up there, you get that boom in the bass of something just dropping down in the background there. Lovely counterpoint there as one goes up, one goes down. Gives us a lot of variety to the sound that we're hearing. And I really enjoy that we don't get like sort of denied bum bum as a chord change. We don't have like one big note and then a huge like semitone uplift into a dominant seventh and then bang, we come back in the new key. No, we get the scratchy horror strings. It's such a great way of going into that upper key because they're lifting anyway, so it makes complete sense musically that the music goes with them. Really, really nice instrumentation here.
All I ever wanted was a chance to even the score. Why settle for less when there's more?
To conquer all what came before.
I love that line so much. Why settle for less when there's more? That is like the motto of a greedy villain. I really, really like that. It's not about necessarily wanting more all the time. It's also about not settling for less. And it sounds like the same thing, but I think there is a distinction there. And I feel like your villain is good when they work both of those things together. I want more because I don't want less. Not just I want more for the sake of it. I really, really love that line. I think that's magnificent.
In the balance of time to regain what's rightfully mine. To change the end and start again. It's all.
And I love that as we get the big money note at the end of Maleficent's line, to change the end and start again, which is what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to get the sundial to change how things went, to start again and have their own ending where they are the victors in each of their own stories. Such a great thing. And then we cut from that back to this lovely introspective Frollo once more.
Change the end and start again. It's all I ever wanted.
Ah, so many good things in there as well. Right at the end, we have this beautifully pure again from Maleficent. Really, really clear sound up there, and you get this all I ever, and literally all I ever in perfect time, and then right at the very end it pulls back. All I ever wanted, and I'm exaggerating it, but he lets that creak into his voice right at the end. Listen to this. What a contrast between these two voices.
It's all I ever wanted.
Ted. That little creak in there. There's something longing-y about that sound to me. Almost wistful. And it's a really, really nice way to end. And I love that we end with that malice in the character that is Frollo, who is just such a despicable character. And it's just this is a lovely way to end this one off. And I love that from here, what do we have to finish it off? The sound of the rain and the sound of the fire. Maybe it's all the rain, I'm not 100% sure. In my mind, I'm hearing fire as well, but that might be my mind projecting because I'm seeing fire. Ah! Layne, Tony, you guys killed it. All the performers are so good. Like, I really, really enjoyed that. I don't know, did it say, I feel like it didn't, who actually sang Scar? We got 5 voices featured. Yeah, not sure. Regardless, fantastic stuff. Let me know down below if you know who actually voiced Scar. I don't recognise the voice enough to clock who it was, but they did a really good job too. Those performances were brilliant. And I really, really love what they've done with this series. I say it every time I cover one of the videos, but I'm really impressed with the work that they've done. I think they've created a fantastic iteration on these characters. I think they are doing... It's something I comment a lot with musical covers, but groups like VoicePlay and that sort of thing. I feel like they pay homage to the original. They keep their cover rooted in where the song came from and then make it their own. Layne and Tony are doing that here, but they're not doing it with the music because they're writing the music, but they are doing it with the characters. They are absolutely 100% recognizable. We can see their motivations from the film here, and we can see the motivations that Layne and Tony have written for them in their film characterizations. And I think that's a really, really nice choice. I think it's, obviously that's what they were leaning into, but they've just done it really, really well. And I'm just loving this series. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I love the concept. I love that we're getting stuff from the villain's perspective, which you don't often get, at least not also while realizing you're following the villains in the first place. Sometimes they do it where, the sort of... anti-hero, or maybe you are following a villain and you don't realize it until later. Here it's just these are the bad guys and we're getting to learn all about them, and it's wonderful stuff. One more episode to go in season 1. That'll, based on my rotation, that'll probably come up in a couple of months, maybe towards the end of September. because I'm eager to get to this one. I'm looking forward to seeing how they play this out. But yeah, that was The Ruse and All I Ever Wanted, episodes 6 and 7 of The Villain's Lair. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope that you enjoyed this, that you got something out of it. My goal with all of this is to bring you this music if you've never heard it before, to bring you PattyCake if you've never heard of them before, or if you do know this well, to try and bring something to you that makes you go, oh, that's why I like this so much. Or, oh, I'd never noticed that thing, and that's really clever. They did good, they did something really smart there in the video. If I can achieve any of those things, then I have achieved my goal. So fingers crossed that has happened. Thank you again. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you would care to do so, you can donate to support the channel at buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, at patreon.com/DavidKReacts, or by leaving a super thanks here on YouTube. And any of those would be gratefully received, and none of them, of course, necessary. And yeah. Please see on the screen right now the list of my patrons. Thank you to all of you for your continued support. I am extremely grateful. And that's it for this video. So please do take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you're still here at the end. I always really appreciate you giving your time and sharing it with me as I look at these videos. Please take care of yourselves. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, afternoon, morning, evening, nighttime, whatever time it happens to be. 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere after all. And what time shall we say right now? Let's say, I don't know, let's go for 2:30 p.m. See if I can catch somebody then. But no, really appreciate you taking your time and spending it with me, and thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.